Hello, everybody. Welcome back to TeaLimePie. This is episode 7. We read your ghost stories and discuss. I myself am a skeptic, and my friend here, Coffee Ghostea, is a believer and resident ghost paranormal expert.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! We got a very long story for you today, so we're gonna start out with like a medium story first.
Medium, like ghost medium, like.
Where are we going with this? This is the end of the episode. Thank you for watching episode 7. We cannot top that.
We're retiring. Oh, man. We're going to start with a haunted theater story, which I love. All right.
Yeah, there's something about a haunted theater that just like...
So good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I was in the theater alone one night. I'm in a high school theater, so while I'm not technically meant to be alone, my directors couldn't care less. The 2 other people I was with were in another part of the theater, down a long hall and in a room that didn't let much sound in or out of its big metal doors that were shut, which they were. I was on stage packing up. It was dark. The stage lights and house lights were off, and I hadn't bothered with the work lights as I'd only be a minute, so it was pitch black aside from the flashlight on my phone. I was gathering my things when I heard footsteps. I assumed it was one of my friends and shot my flashlight over there to discover no one. As odd as it was, I chalked it up to them walking outside the doors or the wood settling. It was rather old wood. I continued to gather my things when I heard rattling from the catwalk above me. I pointed my light up, and once more, nothing. I silently cursed the rats and the horror videos I watched for scaring me. I finished packing my things and stand, turning to leave when I shone my flashlight to the main doors and saw something. It was just a moment that I saw it, but I still remember it clearly. A tall, dark figure hunched over. It was the goat.
No, the goat was gold. This is a dark figure. Different goat.
God. No disturbance features. I walked to the door, a bit unnerved. When I went to open the door, the shop's automatic lights flickered on. They're motion censored, and you have to walk pretty far into the workshop to turn them on, so there was no way I triggered it. I didn't stick around long enough to find out who that had been turned on. It could have possibly been a custodian, though why would they go into a room they never clean or have a reason to be in is beyond me. I rushed out to the hall and into the room where my friends were, the black box. I said a quick goodbye before exiting the theater entirely. The motion sensor lights in the hall never turned on, and I didn't realize it till later. Not 100% if this is paranormal or not, just a series of oddly timed coincidences. Ugh.
I always wonder, like, what kind of ghost is haunting the theater? Like, is it an actor or like someone who just really enjoys the theater?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have so many. I could just like, they're not my stories. My dad and my godfather have so many ghost stories of.
Oh, they're musicians.
Yeah, well, my godfather also like volunteers at a community theater, so he runs lights and sound for them, and that theater is definitely haunted. The ghost has been in like cast pictures in the background.
Really?
Yeah, their like costume room is like the attic area, so they'll hear her walking around up there. They are so...
You should see if you can get your hands on a picture.
I know, I should. But they're all so like superstitious with her. They'll say hello when they get there. They'll say goodnight when they're leaving. Like, and my godfather's not like a believer in that kind of stuff either, but he doesn't fuck with it there. He's like very respectful. stuff like that. And like my dad and some friends did a show there once, and they were setting up and rehearsing, and one of the the bookshelf had some books on it, and my dad swore or something, and a book went flying off, and he was in like the middle of the stage, and the bookshelf was like on the
Oh.
side. It went flying at him and hit him in the head after he swore.
Oh my
like,
God.
like yelling at him to like, hey, that's not appropriate. Stuff
Oh my
like
God.
that. Like it's so creepy. I've never had anything happen to me there, although I haven't been there very often, but I so badly want to just run around in there at night.
Yeah, we'll do a ghost hunt. I'll come visit. We'll do a ghost hunt.
Do it. Yeah, I love hearing about it.
Hey, you should definitely see if you can get a picture.
Yeah, I'll ask.
All right, this next story is very long. So it's probably just going to be the 2 stories in this episode. You may have heard this one. It's a very popular one, but I wanted to read it anyway because I've never heard it before.
Me neither.
Okay. The White Witch. In the early 80s, I lived in Okinawa, Japan. My dad thought that seeing the world would be an adventure that would help my brother and I become better men, and I have to say, I think he was right. Being in the military showed me cultures many would never get to experience, and I'm thankful for every experience that my life gave me, even the scary ones. While we lived in Japan, my father wanted us to have fully immersed experience, so he chose to move us into a small Japanese village off base. We lived in a little house on top of an enormous hill in a cul-de-sac that overlooked, I kid you not, part of a zoo and one side of a fairly large cemetery.
Okay, the zoo part's pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly. Well, like, I guess it depends on what kind of animal.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, cool. I got seagulls.
Yeah.
Our particular house was set far above the monkey habitats. Oh, well, I mean, monkeys are cool.
Yeah.
About a mile downhill. Between us and those habitats was nothing but thick Indiana Jones style jungle. The neighborhood kids and I would tromp through endlessly, ignoring the local warnings about poisonous snakes and untripped mines. Oh, from World War II.
Oh, that would be enough. I would not be walking through there.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
I like how the parents were just like, yeah, you shouldn't do it. I mean,
but
kids
go for
are kids, though. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
Oh my God. Yeah, my kid blew up in our backyard the other day. Oh my God.
It's okay, we had a spare.
Yeah.
We were the only American family living in that cul-de-sac, completely surrounded by Japanese families, and it was amazing. The kids loved us, and although we couldn't communicate through language very well, we understood each other perfectly well most of the time. Opposite us was an older couple with a lush garden surrounding their property. The older woman wanted us to call her Mama-san, and she had us helping her garden whenever she could coax us over with the green tea and chocolate banana cookies. Honestly, I'd go too for some chocolate banana cookies.
Yeah.
You got me, Mama-san.
Yep.
We loved her. She was so welcoming and generous, as was everyone else, actually. We lived in a wonderful neighborhood. The only drawback to Mama-san's home, however, was that she directly overlooked the cemetery. That cemetery was unlike any cemetery I'd ever seen before. Because Okinawa is an island, burials didn't happen very often. Instead, above-ground crypts were built. many of them built into the sides of hills that make up the island. The crypts are large, made of huge arc of polished stone set into a large square of that stone, which has square inserts cut into the middle of it for the coffin to be placed inside. Once inside the square is inset with another piece of polished stone just inside, leaving kind of shelf that outsiders outside so offerings could be made to loved ones. Yen, food, flowers, incense are some of the offerings given. But below Mama Sun's house was a valley that swooped back into another hill opposite her home. That valley and both hills were covered with these crypts. And spider webbing up and down through the crypts were various stone steps, pathways that were old and badly maintained. It was quite a sight. That would be kind of cool, honestly.
Yeah, it's quite an undertaking to
Yeah.
make those too. That's crazy.
One evening, Mama San asked me to come visit with her alone. She had something to show me, but it was only me as my as the older brother. Intrigued and a bit proud, I agreed. She took me to the back of her garden and sat me on a thick wooden bench that was carved with scenes of a fisherman and men with swords, and told me that she had a story to tell. Mama San had disappeared for a few minutes and soon returned with a tray held with hot green tea and sweet rice cakes. Sitting next to me, she smiled and commented on the colors of the evening sky and the sun beginning to lower. Mama San said she had seen me, my brother, and some other kids daring each other to follow the stairway path down to the cemetery. You have to understand the path from our little home area down to the cemetery consisted of hundreds of steps, many broken or cracking, in and out of bushes and steep incline. It would be dangerous for anyone, but the real test was seeing how long you take walking through the crypts at night. Mama San wanted to explain why that was a bad idea. Many years ago, during the war, Americans were thought to be devils. Monsters that would murder innocent civilians for no reason other than to kill. That fear was the product of wartime propaganda used to encourage young men to military service and farmers to fight alongside them. But many didn't. Many ran. And with nowhere to go and nowhere to hide, hundreds of Japanese civilians hurled themselves off a cliffside rather than face at the hands. I'm trying. I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
At the hands of their perceived enemy.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
That's
this
so
is
sad.
like real ghost story material. I'm here for it.
Oh.
I was terrified at hearing this. I had no idea this had happened. I was mortified and hit such sadness, I started to cry. When the sun setting and the sky went from pink and blue to a deep orange and red, Mama Sun reached out and held my hand, telling me not to worry. This was in the past, and the past is something we must always remember so we never go back. She went on with her story. One young woman had followed through with this with her two children. I'm not trying to make light of this horrible story. I just don't want to say these words.
It rhymes with pepper face.
With her two children, but survived the fall. She was in a coma for months. When she did regain consciousness, she was horrified to realize that she was not with her children. They had been buried somewhere in the cemetery below, in an unmarked crypt that held many others. The woman would spend days and nights searching the cemetery, crying in pain, the torment of her loss unbearable, until the day that she threw herself into the ocean to hopefully be reunited with her family.
Oh my gosh.
But they say she never found her children. Her act of doomed her to purgatory. She would remain tortured for eternity. The sun had disappeared and the cemetery drowned in inky blackness. The main path dotted with dim broken lights and feebly illuminating small areas. Mama-san continued. She wanders the cemetery, she said, looking for her kids. You can hear her crying. And then she pointed down. I didn't want to, but I did. I looked. In the back of the cemetery, in the darkness, there was a white figure. At first, a bright white shimmer, moving slowly, kind of shaking. It moved from side to side, like it was moving among the crypts, and you could actually hear her crying. Softly at first, and then low moans and whimpers of pain as it got closer. I was terrified. I wanted to run, but Mama-san held my hand and whispered that she wouldn't come up here. We were too far. But that is why we shouldn't go down there after dark. She said many don't know her story, and they call her the White Witch, which angers her. It's best to stay away. It's best to pray for her. Mama-san said that she comes out to see her often, hoping that one day she will find her salvation. Needless to say, I never went back to that cemetery, not once. And I never sat back there with Mama-san again, either. That was enough for me. I did, however, visit Hill, and it called Peace Prayer Park now, out of respect. I cried the whole time we were there. I prayed for all the souls and for forgiveness. So many Japanese citizens spoke to us, welcoming us, telling us stories, sharing with us. I didn't feel worthy of my love for the country and its people was overwhelming. And I never forgot my time there. I'd go back to see if she's still there, wandering the graves, looking for her children.
Oof.
That's a good ghost story.
Yeah, it is.
That's like a classic campfire story.
For sure.
I like it. I like it.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
Ugh. Yeah, I wonder if any, like, priests or anything have ever gone down there and tried to...
Like, bless the area?
Yeah, try and send her off or something, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. Ugh. That was so
What
sad.
a way to traumatize a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never said how
Just
old.
sit here with me, Sonny, while I show you the ghosts.
Yeah. They didn't say how old he was at the time, right?
No, but they said he was a kid.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If these kids were running around the backyard that they knew had mines in it, just telling the kids not to run around the cemetery at night wasn't gonna do it. So if you're gonna convince them to not do it, you gotta tell them the story.
Gotta one up it.
Yeah, for sure. That would be effective. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we lied. We can do one more.
Yeah. We got time. That took way less time than I thought it would.
Yeah, the length looked intimidating, but
yeah. Man, I'm gonna be thinking about that story forever now, though. Like, it was a good story.
For sure.
I do not think it's real.
You don't think it's real?
No, of course I don't think it's real. I don't think an old lady pointed to a graveyard and there was a woman standing in the back of it going, Children, hello. No, I don't think it's real, but it was a good story.
I Yeah, they were just so descriptive.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Have you ever read a book?
yeah, that's what it felt like. I'm like, huh, they're recapping this story from the 80s, like very,
Yeah.
very specifically, but I mean, you can recall a memory and play it up for Reddit, I suppose, but.
I just want chocolate banana cookies.
Yeah. I'm gonna go find this lady just for the cookies.
Mama san?
Please. I don't have a grandma anymore. Can you be my grandma?
I'm putting out applications and I heard you have cookies.
I need cookies. I can't make them myself. It's not the same.
They don't have love in them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just frustration and hate. Oh my gosh. Alright, one more story. It's called Whispers in the Snow. It was winter in Kashmir, the kind of winter where the world turns white and quiet, like nature's holding its breath. I was on my way to a remote village. What for? Work? Adventure? Honestly, it doesn't matter anymore. You don't remember what you were doing?
Yeah, what?
Wait.
Pardon?
All I remember is the cold, biting and unforgiving, and how the snow seemed to swallow every sound. This one's also very descriptive. I found this house. It wasn't much, but it was better than freezing to death outside. At least, that's what I told myself. Inside, it smelled like damp wood and smelling faintly metallic. I tried not to think about it. Wait, you just walked into a random house?
Yeah, I'm confused.
I am too. For a while it felt safe. The fire crackled, the snowstorm raged outside, and for the first time in hours I could feel my fingers again. I even started to relax, maybe too much. That's when I saw a shadow, just there, against the wall. I told myself it was nothing, just the fire playing tricks on me. But I had that feeling that someone is watching me. I tried to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, I swear I heard footsteps. Not outside, inside. Slow, deliberate, like someone didn't want to wake me, but wanted me to know they were there. There was nothing, just an empty room and my own stupid imagination. At least that's what I kept telling myself. But the unease wouldn't go away. Finally, I decided to step outside and clear my head. That's when I saw them, the footprints in the snow outside. They weren't mine. The prints led away from the house into the trees. They were fresh, too fresh, and they weren't going anywhere. They just stopped right in the middle of the clearing. Like whoever made them vanished into thin air. I didn't want to go back out, whatever was out there. I don't know what happened next. The light went out, and I heard a whisper right next to my ear. It said my name. How did it know my name?
Why is that in quotes?
I don't know. This is weird. I ran. I didn't look back, not even once. Even now, I can't tell you what I saw or heard that night. Maybe it was all in my head. Maybe it wasn't. But if you ever find yourself alone in the snow and you feel like you're being watched, just stay. Don't run. I wonder if this was like an AI written story.
I have a feeling that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. It's so randomly written.
Yeah. Also, why? Yeah, no, this has to be
Yeah.
an AI story.
Debunked.
Yeah. One for lime. Yeah, nobody believes this. There are no comments whatsoever.
No comments.
And there's
no way.
always at least one crazy going around to every post going, wow, this is real.
Yeah, it's been posted for 2 months and there's no comments.
Yep.
Boo. Get your stupid stories out of here. People just...
I guess this really proves that we don't read these stories before going into this.
I want to be just as surprised as everyone else. Yeah, I've heard of people doing that just to farm, like, the awards and stuff.
Oh, there are awards?
I don't know what you do with that stuff for your account. I don't know if it gets you anything, but people do that. It happens on like the Am I the Asshole stuff too, sometimes.
Mm.
Yeah. Meh.
Eh.
Meh.
Well, that's a story to end off on.
Yeah. It's a story
Sorry, the other
about
two were good.
internet horrors and
Yeah.
don't trust AI.
Down with AI.
Yeah.
You can't see me, but I'm doing like the rock on symbol. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any stories that you would like us to read, definitely be sure to share them in the comments and we will read them. Thank you to my co-host, Coffee Ghostea, for hanging out and telling spooky ghost stories with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a good night.
Sleep tight.